Hello, folks. This is season one. It's not my first episode, but it is my first episode with the international crowd. I thought would be a crowd. We've got two, and that's good. I'm going to do what we call roll call, left to right on my screen. Just left to right on my screen is. Oh, wasn't expecting that. Left to right on my screen is, I'm going to say the name wrong, Hoochie Boom. And I'll let her introduce herself and tell everybody where you're from and how long you've been scrolling, or whether season one, it's, wait, is that on my end? Or somebody else?
I think it was me, sorry.
That's no problem. These things happen. Okay, did I say that right? Howchi?
Oudje, yeah.
Oh, good deal. Howchi Boom.
Yeah, you're learning.
Tell everybody about you, where you're from, and how long you've been scrolling, or whatever the case may be.
Well, my name is Houtje Boom. I'm from Holland, living near Rotterdam, near the coastside. And scrolling, well, that's a long time I'm doing that. But I'm not only scrolling, but I'm also doing a lot of woodwork. I'm working on. Can I go on?
Yeah, that's our co-host.
Okay. Well, I work as a teacher on a school for kids with learning disabilities, and I'm giving woodwork to these kids.
Good deal. Okay, I don't mean to jump over you. Russ, is that you I'm getting the feedback sound from?
Not sure, is it?
Some kind of a motorized sound of some kind? I'm not sure. Well, now I'm not hearing it, so it may have been you, but maybe it'll clear itself up. But I'm going to go ahead and go in order on the screen. You didn't miss anything except for me talking about how we're not crowded. Okay, thank you very much. She pronounces her name Howchi. Russ is how she says it. Howchi. Or something like that. Her last name is Boom. And I'm going to move on over to Karol Kolanowski and let him introduce himself, where he's from, how long he's been scrolling, and all that stuff.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Karol Kolanowski. I'm based in UK. I'm scrolling for about a year, but it's not only thing I do. So I'm also doing other woodworking, turning, and try to start everything. I started woodworking 2 years ago, and I want to try everything. So I'm very beginner in scrolling. So I want to learn. But it's fun, so I want to do it, and I want to learn. I want to have more time to do it. I have my own YouTube channel as well as Polish Woodworking. Just few videos there, but it's not very. It's not every week or every 2 weeks like other people do. It's only when I have time.
I hear you.
But I have, I'm making fun doing stuff from wood and also making videos. So if I like it, I want to do it. It's my hobby. It's not my job.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I have yet to meet anyone outside of the U.S. that only does scroll sawing. There may be some, but everyone I've met does scrolling along with other woodworking or wants to learn scrolling. Now, Howchi, do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do. I have one, and it's called Houtje Boom, just like my name.
Okay.
And well, I have also links on it for my Facebook channel. And I've got 2 of them. And I have Google Plus, and I have Twitter. So if anybody wants to find me, well, you can find me there. And then I have the links over there, so you don't have to look all over the net to find me. Just go to the YouTube channel. There's only one small video on it, but I'm planning to make some videos of scrolling and palette work and, well, everything I like to do.
Okay. In the interest of letting people know for the beginning their search, I'm going to go ahead and spell both of y'all's names, and then I'll let Russ Clarity, my co-host, introduce himself. Hauche, her name, I'm going to say this slowly so anybody wanting to write it down can look for her.
Maybe you can spell it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Houtje is her first name. Last name is Boom. And Carol is spelled like the American Carol, but with a K, but I'm going to spell it anyway. Karol. Last name is spelled Kollanowski.
Probably easier to put polished woodworking.
or polished woodworking. Or you could say polished if you're American. Okay, let's move on over to Russell. He was chugging down his coffee, probably trying to join the world of the living, because it's pretty early where we are.
Hey, you don't get this beautiful overnight.
No, I'm still not there.
Yeah, trust me, I was having a hard time getting in for some reason. Every time I would get in, it wouldn't let me in. I don't know why.
It wasn't due to a crowd.
No, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm just getting woke up and in here. The noise you were hearing in the background was my fan for my heater. I had to turn it off. I didn't realize it would pick up that good.
Oh, I got fans going all around me. But go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody international that doesn't know you.
I'm Russ Clarity with Simply Wooden Creations. I'm a third generation carpenter. Been woodworking all of my life. At a very early age, my father started me out, and I've been scrolling for about 30 years. Enjoy woodworking, and just started a YouTube channel, Simply Wooden Creations, also, and have my first video up, my introduction. So if you want to know a little bit more about me, you can go there.
Alrighty. I had my first blooper, Russ. This is the first time my stepdaughters have been here during a show. And one of them walked in. I was just staring through the door after I started the broadcast. So I'm trying to think, how do I play this off? I'm back here swishing her back. She wouldn't. So while one of y'all was talking, I'm gonna turn off the camera and lock the door and explain to them later why I did it. But anyway, Hauche and Carol.
You can say Carl. It will be easier for you.
Carl, okay, whatever works, or H and K. But anyway, being that y'all are new to us, is there anything about Scroll Sawing you do not know that you would like to know? Go ahead and direct it at both of us, but I may have to ask you to repeat it because I'm going to lock the door while one of y'all is answering that, but I'm going to go in order like I did before. So, Hauche, if you want to answer that, if there's anything you don't know that you would like to know regarding scroll sawing, I'll let Russ answer first if he knows the answer, and then I'll go, and because I'm going to lock the door once you start talking.
Do you have any questions, Hauche?
Yeah, I was wondering. I've seen some of your YouTube channel, and what I want to learn is how you make these patterns. What kind of program do you use? And
well, me personally, I do mine on paper. There may be some videos you haven't seen yet. But I originally do them on paper. I'll print it out and I'll put a sheet of carbon paper, or what some people call transfer paper, underneath, and then I'll put a clean sheet under that, and I'll trace the areas that I want to cut out, and that's a trial and error while you're doing it, because once you learn how a scroll saw pattern works, it becomes second nature. But long story short, I do it on paper, but I use Paint Shop Pro 4 just to color it in to present to the public, just to try to sell it. to give them an idea of what it looks like. So those videos I have on my channel, by the way, I never introduced myself. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm Charles Deering. I go by Charles Deering Scroll on not Facebook. Yeah, I'm doing good. 5 in the morning. On YouTube, I go by Charles Deering Scroll. You can see my name spelled up at the top, and just add the word SCROLL after that, and that's how you can find me on YouTube. On Facebook, I'm the Charles Deering, and that's the rest of that. And I don't remember what I was saying before that. Do you want to remind me, Russ?
About how you create your patterns.
Oh, I think I finished that point, but
I think you did.
yeah. If that's what led me to my channel. There are in the most. Blah, my tongue is not awake, but I am. The earlier videos that I did are where the majority of the tutorial videos are, but most of them are these hangout videos. I'm going to start getting back into tutorials and cutting videos. But in the interest of fairness, thank you for your question, Jay. I don't think I'm ever going to say her name without stuttering. No offense. June Bingham wants to know, thank you for watching, June. How do you decide what to do first when you have lots of patterns? I want to do them all now, but can't decide which one first. You can either go by what you think would sell best or whatever you like most, because I don't get a lot of sales, so I tend to cut what I like. Okay, Cut All has to leave us for a moment, but he'll be back. Russ, would you like to answer that question? How do you decide what you cut first?
How I decide? Well, usually my decision comes from when I make a pattern. It starts with a pattern. I see something or think of something that I want to do or make, and I create the pattern, and then from there I go out to the shop and proceed to cut it out. So that's how I make my decision, just by seeing or thinking of something that I think would look nice or I would want to do.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to you, Jay, to answer that, and then Dominic, I will get to you in just a second, I promise. And thank you for being on. Jay, how do you decide what to do first when you have lots of patterns and?
I use on my, where I work on school, we have always a Christmas fair in, with Christmas. And what I do for the kids, when I have an idea, I make a pattern and then I make templates so they can use it more easy than just drawing it all the time. And that's the way I transfer it to my wood, or they transfer it to their wood. So they can make the stuff and we can sell it for a good goal where we decide to do for the Christmas. So mostly when I see something, for myself, I make a drawing or what, and see how it come out in the wood and on the wood, and then see how it can change things to modify it. That's the way I do it. But what I want, what I like to be interested in, sometimes people use programs like Names or whatever to make signs, and I was wondering what kind of program do you use to make these names or numbers or whatever?
There again, I use Paint Shop Pro. Russ Clarity, I believe, uses Corel Draw, but last week he did a tutorial on I believe it was Inkscape, and I'll let him answer that in just a second as soon as I acknowledge Dominic Bender joining us. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to tell everybody all about you, where you're from, and how they can find you.
I'm from Germany, and I got my homepage, dominicswoodworks.com, and I have to add that I'm not a proper scroller yet. I have a small scroll saw, but it's I never really got into it. It takes these blades without the pin on top, and it's a hassle to switch them, and I keep breaking them, so I'm still saving for a proper scroll saw.
All right, I'm sorry to hear that that keeps happening. For what it's worth, that I don't know if it's the saw or not. It could be a combination of a bad saw and or not
Or a
enough.
bad scroller.
Or yeah. Well, I won't say that because I don't know how you scroll, but it could also be not enough tension on the blade or too much tension. But in the interest of fairness, I'm going to run over to Russ Clarity and let him answer Houchy's question about programs for making names and signs and stuff.
For making names and signs, yes, I use CorelDRAW. It's a vector graphic program, which is different from Photo Paint that Charles uses, or Paint Shop Pro, I should say. Vector graphics, if you create something very small and enlarge it, it's the mathematical part of the computer allows it to enlarge, keeping the same dimensions and all the details in it. With a program like Paint Shop Pro or Photoshop, for instance, it deals with photos and pixels. So if you take something very small, for instance, a small wallet-sized photo, and blow it up to a large photo, you will see that it's very fuzzy or grainy or out of focus, so to speak. That's the disadvantage of using one of those programs, Photoshop, Paint Shop Pro, to create a pattern. Also, like Charles said, another vector graphic program that's out there on the market is Inkscape. I believe it's inkscape.com. You can download it for free and use that program. It's a vector graphic program. I've used it in the past before I had CorelDRAW, create all my word art or plaques or anything like that. It's a very good program. It just doesn't have all the bells and whistles that CorelDRAW has.
And it is free. And by the way, Russ,
And it's free.
Yeah.
I said it was free.
And I think it's inkscape.org.
Yeah, you said .com, Russ. That's what I was going to ask. I believe it's .org.
Okay.
But there again, I'll spell it for you. Houchy. It's INKSCAPE.org. And there's also one called GIMP, GIMP.org. And we have Mr. Cador back, but I believe he had already answered the question. But if he didn't, let me go back and read what the question was. Okay, Cador, how do you decide? I don't even think I asked Dominic this, but I'll ask you next, Dominic. How do you decide what to do first when you have a lot of patterns?
That's a tricky question. To be honest, I think that necessity was the thing, because I have a lot of pattern I didn't know what to do, but then some people start me to ask if I can scroll the name out of the plywood, and to be honest, the name was the first thing. Then some house numbers and such as things, and it's all basic at the moment. I don't do any portraits. It's too difficult for me at the moment. But if I'm doing all the design in Photoshop, I'm a graphic designer as well, so I have this software on hand, so I'm using what I have. But the first thing was what was needed. It's not what I wanted to do, probably, because if I see all the pictures and you know, scroll sawing portraits and animals, it's all amazing. But when I found one pattern and I downloaded it, when I glue it to the board, I look at it and said, oh no, it's too difficult for at the moment. I need to make some more simple stuff and start developing my skills a little more, and then progress to more complicated stuff. So it's all basic stuff at the moment.
Thank you, sir. It sounds like you have the motivation to do it. What I always tell people is once you learn how to keep the saw on the line and how to make turns and this and that, I think the rest is just patience. But in the interest of fairness, I'm going to run over to Dominic because I believe I had him introduce himself, but I didn't ask him the question. How do you decide what to do first, unless you haven't gotten far enough into scrolling to actually do anything yet?
I have, but not that often. Well, the program that I'm using is Inkscape mainly because I got some experience with it. As far as other programs go, I have most experience with Inkscape, so I had to make a pattern with that. Up to now it hasn't been anything too complicated, and then I take it from there. But like you said, learning how to do a straight line on the scroll saw, that's still on my bucket list, so much experience in that part.
All right, thank you, sir. Yeah, most people that don't use a scroll saw don't realize that that's one of the hardest things to do on a scroll saw is to cut a straight line. And thank you very much for the question, June. Russ, did you have anything you wanted to say, ask, or include?
About which subject? Yeah, we jump around so much sometimes. Anyway, I did post over in the chat section for anybody that if wants to open the chat up, if you don't have it open already, the 2 links for Inkscape and GIMP. Make sure if you go to download those 2 programs that you go to the original site, and I believe those are the ones I have posted, because there are other sites out there where you can download the GIMP and Inkscape for free, but you will get a bunch of garbage along with it, and if you're not careful, it will you will have computer problems. Trust me, I know people who have done that. So, but they're in the chat section if you want to look over there and click. I believe you can just click on them; and they'll take you right straight to the websites.
Yeah. Did you explain how to get to the chat section, Russ? I was multitasking.
If you take your mouse bar to the left side of your computer screen, a toolbar should open up with a bunch of icons, and at the very top there is a blue square icon. If you click on that, the group chat should open up.
Good deal. And believe it or not, we only have 2 viewers, but I'm flattered to say that Sue May, the designer out of South Africa, is one of them. And I'm also flattered to have June Bingham. She is a very dedicated scroll sawyer.
I was talking with Peter Freitag from Germany. He at the moment is very ill. He's got a flu. He said that if the show will be next week or something, he would like to join as well.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Charles.
That's fine. I was just going to say I hope he's good.
I was wanting to ask Dominique something. Dominique, you said you're breaking a lot of blades. First, what kind of blades are you using? Are you using spirals or flats? And 2,
flat. Mostly flat. I tried spirals, but it's a bugger to get them into the saw, so I stuck with flats.
All right, then what type? Like Flying Dutchman, Olsen?
You got me there.
Well, they have Olsen, Pegasus, Flying Dutchman.
There's another one.
These are the ones I'm using.
Oh, those are for like a fret saw, so I don't know if that even has it.
But the scroll saw, or if it's a scroll saw, I think it is. They said these are the blades to use, and they have these, the same mechanism to put them in, like I said, without a pin. And in the manual for the saw, they called for this kind of blade. So maybe that's their mistake or mine. But
try. I don't know if you can get. I mean, you're in Germany, and I thought they were manufactured in Germany. Is Flying Dutchman blades? That's what we have over here, and I believe they come from Germany. So look for Flying Dutchman blades.
Well, I'm the Flying girl.
What did you say, Hachi?
I said I'm the Flying Dutch girl.
Yeah, but look for those, Dominique. Those work very, very well. I can send you a link to Mike's workshop, which is where I buy them from over here in America. I do not know if he ships overseas, but once again, I believe they're made over there in Germany, so and they might be underneath another name. If you will get me on Facebook, it's Simply Wooden Creations on Facebook, or Russell E. Clarity on Facebook. I will get you to Mike, and maybe even call Mike for you and ask him what the name is from over in Germany, so you can get a hold of him.
That would be great.
All right, glad we were able to help with that. I meant to mention Sue May. I haven't officially announced it yet. She's planning on being a special guest at some point, but she's having audio issues with her computer system right now, is why she hasn't been a guest yet. But I'm looking forward to having her on. It may only be an audio thing. I don't know if her computer's set up for video. Whatever works best for her, time, day. For any special guests, there may be sometimes it may not be on a Saturday, but I will announce days and times according to whoever the special guest is and their preference. God, I was not prepared for this. Okay, I'm going to go down the line again, starting with Hauche. What is your favorite kind of wood to work with, regardless of what kind of woodworking you're doing?
Were you asking?
What is your favorite kind of wood to work with?
Well, all kind. Well, the problem here is we don't have these exotic woods. They are very expensive in Europe. And, well, you're the lucky guys who get walnut and, you call it maple and all that beautiful wood. Well, we have to take another job for that, to buy that. So, mostly of the time we have poplar or spur, or that's the wood we can use the most to make some things. Well, I'm lucky I have a friend who does sell some exotic wood, so I have some, but it's very hard to get it here. And well, my favorite is maple. I like maple. It's beautiful wood, and it's and walnut. I think that these two are my favorite woods to work with.
Okay, I appreciate that. How about you, Cuddle? What is your favorite kind to work with?
The favorite, maybe not the favorite, but the wood I work the most with is pallet wood. I don't know if it's the kind, but this is the best because it's the cheapest, mostly free, and sometimes I know, because I dismantle lots of pallets, and I try to ask international companies if they have a stock to get some, but sometimes they have pallets from Africa, which is made from hardwood, exotic wood, and you know, it's not big pieces, so for other woodworking it's not that good, but for scroll sawing the small pieces are perfect. So I know I found one pallet. It was made from Ipe. I don't exactly. I found out the name, and then I was looking for it, and I think it's called Indian redwood or something like that.
Wow.
And one was African walnut, which is about 10 times harder than normal walnut. And it was, you know, I want to cut one board, you know, couple centimeters wide and long, and it was about 2 centimeters, so not even inch deep, and it was cut, you know, breaking my blades all over the place. So I, you know, stick to do something else. I tried to turn it, and it was blunting my chisels as well. So it's very hard, but it's beautiful when it's finished. So I try to do some cutting boards with it or something, because it's so hard. You know, you cannot use it for scroll sawing. But I like in UK, it's easy to buy oak and it's called redwood. I don't know exactly what kind of redwood is it, but it's only 2 hardwoods I can buy locally, but it's expensive as well. So I try to, you know, exchange with friends sometimes. If they have a stack of one kind of wood, I got a stack of different. We exchange the wood to differ, but most of it, I think it's pine from from pallet wood anyway. But some of them it's quite nice, so I don't think it's pine. Maybe poplar as well. Supili is also a kind that it's not that expensive to buy here in UK. We've got a website which is called exotichardwoods.co.uk, where you can buy almost every exotic hardwood you can imagine, but it's expensive, so it's good place to buy maybe pen blanks or for something for small projects, but for big projects I think it's cheaper to move to US and, and live there and have all the woods there.
Get a lot of that too.
Is pine considered domestic wood over there, or is that considered exotic?
No, it's domestic.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's the most common wood here, but my favorite wood to use is aromatic cedar. I don't know the technical name for it. I want to say juniper, but I could be way off. But I love the color and softness of it. And Dominic, before I get to you with that question, June Bingham I believe she's out of Australia, says my favorite wood is camphor, laurel, or silky oak. We get a lot of it supplied to our woodworkers club for free. Have to source out other exotic woods. Well, June, feel free to mail me some of that camphor, laurel, silky oak. For the plug, just kidding. Dominic, what is your favorite kind of wood to work with?
Well, I wanted to say pallet wood too, but I only started with that. Mainly, we got a local sawmill, and they got, let me think of right now, I think it's spruce, pine, and oak. And that's what I'm using in the local Home Depot, the slats and the boards they have, the already milled ones, no, planed ones is what I wanted to say. They are usually fir, so that's what I have. I once ordered a slab of walnut off of eBay, and I'm still kind of saving it for the right project, using little bits every now and then. But that's the wood I'm using. I want at some point to get a planer so I can take the boards directly from the sawmill, but I don't know whether that'll be worth the investment.
Yeah,
and
those things aren't cheap.
And as far as scrolling goes, I like the really thin plywood best because it's, well, I think it's easiest to work with, and I still got a few pieces left. So that's that.
All right, thank you, sir. That's the way I am with pretty wood. Is I'm afraid of wasting it on a project that may not turn out good. So I'm the same way. If I find a piece of wood I like, I got one. I'm probably going to get the name wrong, but a friend of mine named Ray Bridewell sent it to me. It was, I believe it was called Red Velvet Cake Burl, something like that. But it was a beautiful piece of burl. But I wanted to pick just the right project to do it on because I don't want to waste the wood. But Russell, what is your favorite wood to work with? You're muted, sir.
Just realized that. I don't know that I have a favorite wood. Some of the wood that I have cut that I really like, I would say the most is I like to cut cherry, walnut, and mahogany. I believe those are 3 of my top woods as far as what I like to cut. But as far as a favorite wood, I don't have. I like cutting all kinds of wood.
Okay. Doesn't cherry burn easily? I think I've heard that in more than one place.
If you are in a hurry and push the wood, yes, you can have some burning problems. But if you take your time, not push, not be in a rush, I've had very good success with. Now, don't get me wrong, I get some burning every once in a while. It's just gonna happen. But it's most of the time I found as soon as I start seeing or wanting to burn a little bit, the blade's dull. So I just change the blade, and that's what the biggest problem is. But I think if you take your time, use a nice sharp blade, I really don't have that big of a problem with it.
Sorry for the yawn.
Trust me, I've had to block my picture a couple of times because of yawning and this stuff this morning.
I was hoping you'd go a little longer on your sentence so I could yawn. I know the people watching are laughing because this is our first time doing one. It's so early in the morning for us.
Yeah, I had to get up at, my time was 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Now, most of the time I'm up around 6 o'clock, but there's something about having to set the alarm clock and making yourself wake up that changes everything.
Yeah, that's strange because I usually keep strange hours and I'm usually awake at this time, but I'm not used to having to be organized at this hour. I'm just doing my own thing, but I'm usually.
We appreciate for you to get up that early to making the show for us.
Oh, no problem, and I'm very glad to do it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I thank all of y'all for those comments. Me and Russell talked about it. Originally, it was going to be at 4 a.m., and I believe Cuddle wrote to me. And because I hadn't had much feedback aside from Cuddle privately, I decided to move the show up an hour, and that bettered my odds of having Russ on as a co-host while I yawn.
Yeah, I originally told him if we had to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't know if I'm going to be there or not.
By the way, are we getting anything through YouTube?
I haven't had a chance. Let me block my picture. I've got my laptop sitting on my desk or my workbench over here for checking YouTube. I haven't set it. It's on. I just haven't set it up. So let me set it up over here.
All right, 10-4. If anybody sees me looking down while you're talking, it's because every now and then a question will come up from the viewing page, but not necessarily the Q&A section. Speaking of the Q&A section, Rob Rawson, a guy I've come to know through Woodworkers on YouTube on Facebook. Good to see you. He writes, managed to pop in to watch for a while. Great show so far. I've just got a cheap saw and a couple of sets of Pegas blades. Reverse skip and spiral. Are these a good start? I'll answer that first. I don't know if anybody else can, but I'll ask them. I love spirals. I've never used Pegas brand blades, but all I've ever used is spirals. But your comfort level, I think, is what determines if it's a good start. But once Russ gets back, I'll ask what his opinion is because he's a seasoned scroller. But I can go down the line and ask Dominic, have you used enough blades to know if reverse skip and spiral are good blades?
I'm afraid not.
Okay, no problem. Nobody feel left out if you can't answer any of these because not all of us have been doing this a long time. But how Jay? See, I stuttered again. I thought I was going to get it out without stuttering. How Jay? How Jay? I'm loving this.
I'm listening.
I'm trying to remember the question because I'm stuttering all over myself. Do you think reverse skip and spiral blades are a good start? Pegas brand? Maybe not even the brand. Maybe it's the style of blade he's wanting to know.
I use skip and how you call the other one?
A spiral.
No, not that one. That's a horrible thing to work with.
That's all I use. I love people.
It goes every direction except the good one. So
I love the things people say.
You need a driver's license. You need a driver's license for that one.
I love the things people say about spirals that don't use them because no, that's too aggressive. But the way I see it, once you get used to the spiral, it will not cut unless you're moving that wood. And I'm not saying that to down you. That's just my view of spirals.
I'm glad I had the video turned off when she was telling about you need a driver's license and was talking about the spiral. I about fell off my chair.
Cut off.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna remember that for a while now. Cut all the. Go ahead.
Yeah, I tried the spirals for about 10 minutes in my last project because of watching your show and everybody saying spirals are so great. So I bought some and tried them. It like Dominic said, it's pain to put them in the saw anyway. And it cuts faster than straight blade, but I noticed that leaving a rougher surface. So after this blade, I have to sand it a bit more than after straight blade. So I change it back to straight blade to finish the project. But I will get, I will find a use for them anyway. But I prefer the straight blades, and the skip tooth is better because you can cut faster and thicker pieces, if I imagine correctly.
Okay, thank you.
This is the only kind I've got, so that skip tooth as well.
Okay, now I'm wondering if part of the problem that you and Dominic are having is on the spiral blades, unless they're flat-ended, sometimes you have to untwist the end of it a little bit, and that'll give it more of a flat surface to grab onto. Do you think that that's the problem y'all are having, or?
It's twisted all over the place, up to the top, and it's one blade I have to flatten the end to manage to clip it in. Maybe the saw is too cheap or something. My blades are too cheap as well. I have a question about the spiral blades. About the tension. Is the tension should be the same like in straight blades, or less or more? Will it, straight it up if I tension too much or something?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. I believe Russ has used both kinds, but I only use spirals. But one of my videos has the actual sound that you should hear on a spiral, but I'll let Russ answer that one. But I do have questions in the Q&A section that I will get to after Russ says that.
From my experience, the spirals do use a little less tension than a flat blade. It's every time I tried to put the same amount of tension, the blade would slip out of the holders, or they would break. So yeah, I use a little bit less tension with spirals. They don't need to be as tight as a flat blade, due to the fact that they wander a little bit, so they're going to follow some of the grain of the wood. I only use spirals for portraits, etc. I don't use them for anything else. All my other cuttings, for word cuttings and all that, are done with straight flat blades.
You see, people talk about spiral blades wandering. Either I'm used to it, or I'm just not seeing the wandering. I don't know, but I'm going to get to the Q&A section, and then I'll get over to ask everybody another question.
I think the reason you say that, Charles, is you're exactly right. Have you ever used flat blades?
No.
You're so used to using spirals, and which that is great, that they become, there's no thought process or nothing. I mean, just the way you go and cut, and you've gotten so good at it that there's no problem. But starting out, matter of fact, years ago when I tried spirals, I threw them away. I mean, like, I didn't want them. But then I realized by watching other people using them and making stuff like Charles and portraits and stuff, is I'm going to have to get used to using these and learning to like them whether I want to or not, just to be able to, because when you do a portrait, there's nothing like a spiral. I mean, it makes it so much easier. So I forced myself, really. I mean, I sit down and was bound and determined one full day of playing with spirals until I got it where I could use them.
The reason why you keep seeing me grin is because I think me trying to do a video of me trying to use a flat blade would be fun to watch. And I believe Dominic's been trying to say something. I apologize.
No problem. I got a little follow-up. When I mentioned that my blades break, you mentioned the tension might be off, so it might be a no-brainer, but how do I determine the right tension for a blade? You mentioned the sound, but I don't have any experience with that, so I can't really tell whether the tension is off or not.
So
is there a simple way to do it?
Well, there again, it's a trial and error for one, but I only know the sound a spiral makes, and Russ would have to do a video of the sound a straight blade makes. But it's a certain sound, and it's still a trial and error. I've been doing this since 1997, and I still break blades, but sometimes because I'm impatient. But
that's good to hear.
Yeah, but yeah, it may just be as simple as too much tension or not enough. If the blade flexes a lot, then there's not enough tension. But
On the tension also, is not only I use a sound. The blade should not flex more than 1/8 of an inch. If you put your finger on it and push gently, you should gently be able to move it about 1/8 of an inch from side to side or front to back. That's also, I would suggest on tensioning, not run full tension to start off with. Start at about half. Try some cutting. If you find it's a little too, you should be able to tell immediately if it's going to cut right or not, especially on a straight blade, and then increase it up. But I can't run full tension on my spirals. I'll either break them or they'll slip out of the, because they're spirals, they'll slip out of the blade hole.
Okay. Now, when you're checking the flex on a blade, make sure the saw's not on.
For safety reasons, make sure the saw is off.
Yeah, because they make tags on hair dryers saying don't use it in the shower, so you got to say things like that just to cover your butt. June Bingham has written twice. She says June out of Australia uses reverse skip blades, mainly number 3, 5, and 7. But she's going to try Charlie's spirals, which are not actually mine, but I wish they were. But I guess that would be Flying Dutchman or just the style. Spirals is all I use. But I tend to use number 3 and number 5, and I use a Hagner scroll saw, and I can't use anything smaller than a number 3 because it seems to break too easy. I don't know. And she also says, I can't find the chat page, so I'll right here. Just wanted you and Russ to know we do appreciate you giving up your sleep time for us. Not a problem at all. It's not even it's not an inconvenience at all. That's why we were anxious to do it. It's more normal for me to be awake at this hour than Russ. But and Bob Rawson wrote again saying, is 1/4 ply a good material to start scrolling with? I think it is, but I'll go down the line again. Mr. Dominic, do you think 1/4 ply is good to start with?
Well, yes.
Well, that was a lengthy answer there. Thank you. I on eBay.
What do you want to say?
I know. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot of detail. I buy a lot of my wood off of eBay, and I tend to get an 1/8 inch because you can stack cut it. Hauche, I did not stutter that time, except for saying I don't stutter. Do you think quarter inch ply is a good wood to use?
How many millimeters is that?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Y'all, oh god. I think, oh no. See, I forgot y'all use a different system than we do. Y'all use
Let me see.
6.34 millimeters.
How much?
6.35 would be the actual.
Thank
I think
you.
6 mil is what we get.
Yeah, 6 millimeters. It's very thin. I once had a scroll saw project, and I had about 3 centimeters thick. It's about how much is that in inches?
I think 1 1/4.
Yeah,
About this. Maybe I can say about this.
That looks about 2 inches. That's gonna be the funniest part of trying to do this show is when it comes to measurements, because y'all use centimeters and millimeters, we use inches and quarters and all that. Rob Rawson says 6 millimeters, so I guess that answers that. But out of fairness, I'll go to Karol and ask him, do you think 1/4 inch is a good material to start with?
yeah, I was working with 1/4 inch. With the measurements, it's funny for me because I learn in millimeters and centimeters all my life, and when I moved to UK, I have to learn the inches. And especially, I was, learning how to woodwork out of YouTube, which most of the channels are from US and there are inches as well. So now I get used to the transitions as well. But when I'm working with 1/4 inch, I found that sometimes with the 1/8 inch, I noticed that it's too thin and it rips more stuff. So I, like you said, I stack a few more pieces, and because I never do one piece, I want to make few more cuts. So I stuck them together with double-sided tape and make cuts like that with the thicker piece.
Alrighty, thank you, sir. That's another difference between all of us is I believe most of y'all use Celsius on the temperature, and we use Fahrenheit here in the U.S. And I wanted to. This is kind of a disclaimer, but it's only has nothing to do with the show. But I'm one of these guys. I always like to imitate sound. So if y'all ever hear me doing something other than my normal voice, it is not to make fun of how y'all talk. It's because I like to imitate sounds. So if you hear me talking like this, it's because I'm trying to imitate. You know. It's strictly to be funny. It's not to make fun of you. I just wanted y'all to know that ahead of time.
That was Russian accent.
That was sort of Russian, yes. I can talk UK sometimes like this, right? But anyway, in Australia, you talk like this, right? That's what June Bingham is. I don't know where Rob Rossland is. But I just wanted to give you all that disclaimer because sometimes I talk funny, right? And I didn't want you to think I was making fun of you. Russell, stop laughing at me and answer the question.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so
absolutely.
What's the question?
Somebody is not paying attention. This is totally not UK, or this is nowhere near yours now. The question was, do you like a 1/4 inch?
Oh.
Scrolling?
Yeah, I like a 1/4 inch for scrolling, but I only use thin wood like that for special occasions. I would say like a 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood for maybe portraits or something like that, or a 1/4 inch for some ornaments that may hang on a Christmas tree or something for light. Actually, I find unless you stack cut 1/4 inch, you have to take your time cutting it because it cuts very quick. If I had a preference to cut thickness of wood, it would be 3/4 inch. That seems to work a little bit better. You can take your time with it. The blade doesn't seem as aggressive with it. So, but yeah, 1/4 inch. I've cut a lot of 1/4 inch hardwoods and plywood.
All right, thank you, sir. I was laughing because I was yawning and I was going like this. Please keep talking. Please keep talking.
That's probably the best way to do it from now on is to do that.
Anytime my camera goes off, something's going on that I can't. Yeah. Danny Weather has joined us, and I'll get to you. Oh, that's Danny Waddingen. He's a Intarsia guy, I believe. It's about time we got an Intarsia. I don't know if I said his last name right or not. Waddingen. But it said something else, and I totally forgot what it was. But June Bingham says 1/4 ply in Australia is not good ply, as it tends to tear out on the back, even if I put tape on the back of it. I've used some of U.S. ply, which is very nice to work with. P.S. I am old school and like to work in inches, as most of my patterns are overseas ones. Thank you very much, June. Easy for me to say. Danny, do you have a cam and or mic? Got nothing there. Good. We got to move on. I don't know what to ask now. I was not ready for that. I'm sorry. I'm just talking weird because I'm awake. We only got 5 minutes left in the show. Can you believe that? We survived the show and nobody left because of my goofy nature. We have 5 viewers. I'm tickled.
That's why we came in the first place.
What, because I'm goofy?
Amongst other things.
What are those other things, sir? Tell us on the live TV here.
Well, the scrolling, of course.
Oh, thank you, sir. That was a good save. Good save.
It definitely wasn't because of your looks.
Love you too, Russ. And see, the truth comes out here. Now, anybody that's ever watched the show or hasn't watched the show, if you're watching the show for the first time, I'm not a dead serious man who talks like this through the show. Look all professional. I act goofy. I'm a real guy. I'm not arrogant. I don't believe I'm above any of y'all. I'm beside y'all. I'm just here to answer anything I can and get other people to answer other things I can't. The show is not about me. It's just called Scrolling with Charlie, but it's for y'all, with y'all, by y'all, and I just happen to be the goofy guy running it. And that's why I got Russ saying we have to have fun.
If you were straight laced, I find if you were straight laced and not funny, it wouldn't be as entertaining. Part of the thing about great about you and doing this is part of your entertainment. I'm not as funny of a guy as you are, so I'm the more straight laced of the two of us. So I keep him in line.
Well, I've seen me naked, so I have to be funny. Trust me on this. Anyway, I come from Texas, the United States. Most people think we talk like this. We can if we want to, but we ain't going to do that. All right, we got 3 more minutes. Russ, you want to think of a dang question to get these people into talking about something?
Question.
Or
I got
a
one.
topic?
What kind?
Okay.
I got one. What's the brand name of the scroll saw you use?
Yeah.
Or
Let's-
Dominique.
I got a Proxon. Don't know if you've heard of that. They make these model building tools, and I don't find them too great for the real woodworking. But well, that's my answer.
Yeah, Proxon seems to be the most popular overseas scroll saw. In the interest of going down the line, I don't know if we've been to Hachi in a while, and I didn't stutter again. What brand of scroll saw do you use, or do you have a bunch of them due to teaching a class?
Were you asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm using a Heckner.
Ah, good saw.
Yeah. I got it for 30 years now, and it's a very good saw.
Oh, 30 years. I've only had mine half that long. It's good to know I'll have it for that much longer.
Yeah, it's
deal.
still working. It's great, great saw.
Uh,
And it's available in Europe. It's
Yeah,
very good.
I believe they're made in Germany, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Very
Germany, Germany brand.
good. Good. Okay,
Might
Keller,
be a good
what brand of scroll saw do you be using?
I'm using a Jet. It's the variable speed one, so it's handy, but it's basic saw. So it's sold by Axminster. I don't know if you know the shop in UK, but it's good to learn. It's not Excalibur, but it's too expensive for me anyway. Just for hobbies.
Tis not Excalibur, tis not worthy. I'm kidding. I do not have it. I have an Excalibur, I've just never used it. And God, I've gone through like 20 accents in two minutes here. And Russ, before you start laughing on me on camera again, I have a couple more comments. Rob Roston. I'm not real sure where Rob Roston is from, but I guess he's international. He wants to know, can you explain blade speed? Should thicker wood use a faster blade speed, or is it a personal preference? With me, it's personal preference, but it's the feed rate, the rate at which you feed your wood into the blade that matters to me. But I'll let everybody answer that, and I got two more things going on in the Q&A section. But I'll start with Dominic. Unless, did I skip over you, Russ?
You can skip over me because I don't have much experience in that regard.
Okay, thank you for playing Hachi. I did not stutter for 3 times in a row, but I did forget the question.
Blade speed.
Should okay. Oh my gosh, we've been here an hour. We're actually going to go over on our first international show. Should thicker wood use a faster blade speed, or is it a preference?
I don't have any blade speed on my Heckner, so I only have 1 speed, and I do everything with that. So,
Okay, then I guess it works for you then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have a 18-inch variable speed, so I assumed all of them had variable speed. Mr. Carroll, can you tell us?
I have a variable speed as well, but I found that I use the top speed most of the times because it's it's quicker to cut and it's cleaner cut as well.
I've noticed it's easier to cut when I have it on full speed, and I'm completely ignoring Russ because he was mean to me. I'm kidding, Russ. Do you cut thicker wood at a faster speed, or personal preference, or what?
Yes. The thicker the wood, the faster the speed. The thinner the wood, the slower the speed.
Alrighty, man. Now we're gonna move on here to Miss Sue May. Miss Sue May out of South Africa. I have no idea what a South African accent says, but she said it might be hard to understand. Anyhow, she says I use a Hegner, the best available to us. Good for you, girl. Appreciate that. I'm gonna need to stop talking funny because people gotta understand me. June Bingham out of Australia says I'll have a General Excalibur used to jet for the first 12 months. Thank you very much. You know many of my woodworking friends are probably laughing at me right now, or at least no longer admitting to being my friend. Russell has himself muted because he's probably snorting at me. We've gone 2 minutes over, but this is actually starting to get too much fun to end. Does anybody have a question for me, Russ, or the Scroll Saw Gods, or anything?
I do.
The only reason I'm muted is because I'm over here looking at YouTube, and as of right now, we don't have any questions that I can see on YouTube. And
Okay,
I was checking out Dominique's procs on, I believe that's how you say it, Scroll Saw. So I got a few tips for him.
My question is about my saw too. It doesn't have a tilting table, so I've been wondering. I saw some guys on YouTube do great things with tilting the blade. So is that something worth getting, or do you guys never use it?
Well, okay, I'm plugging my channel again, Charles Daring Scroll. I think you're already subscribed to me though, Dominic. There's one, how to make a base on the Scroll Saw. That involves a tilted table, so it's
I haven't gotten around to binge watching your channel yet.
Oh my God, dude, you go back to do that right when the show ends. You go to my channel, you do not sleep, you watch all the videos. There's only 30 something, okay? Okay, okay, June says thank you for a great show, guys. Apparently she's talking to y'all because I'm the village idiot here, but you're welcome, June. And Rob Rawson says, I'm in the UK. No, that was Australia. I'm in the UK. Great show, guys and gals. Hope you'll continue. And if y'all will accept me, I will continue. Then, because I've had too much fun doing this. But we are 4 minutes over, so if nobody else...
I have one question.
We have one more question? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's for everyone. How do you start scrolling?
What got us started scrolling?
Yeah.
We'll start with Hachi. I stuttered. How
do I get started with scrolling? I put the switch on.
No, Sean. That sounds like a Russ answer. I think he means what got you into starting scrolling.
Well, I started. Yeah, well, I don't know why I started scrolling. I think it was fun to do, and I thought, well, let's buy a scroll saw, and since then I like it, and it's really relaxing to work with. It's a nice hobby.
I just woke up and there was something funny sitting in front of me, so I played with it. No, that didn't come out right. Y'all forget I ever said that. I can't edit it out. Dominic, stop shaking your head at me long enough to answer that question. What got you into scrolling, sir? I'm having too much fun with this.
Back when I got my Proxen, I was more into basically model making, nothing too serious, but I thought it was a great way to cut squares and shapes out of plywood. And since then I got into woodworking, got a proper saw for that, I mean for the straight cuts, and I saw several videos about the cool things you can do with a scroll saw, so I wanted to try that myself. Didn't work yet, but...
Yeah, well, we all got to start somewhere. I shouldn't have laughed. I'm just sort of laughing with you. But
and I tried to shake my head a little less.
All right. Carol, what got you started into scrolling since you so eloquently brought up the question?
I didn't ask, ask myself. What started it was I wanted to start woodworking for generals, and when I started buying tools, this was one of the tools that wasn't that expensive to buy, and it was more versatile than other tools. so I can do more. So I bought this tool just to try, you know, how it all goes together and how I feel with the woodworking, and I start to loving it. I start to buying more tools, and I use like Dominic. I'm using other tools more often now, but I try to do more scroll sawing as well, because it's fun and it's a versatile tool. You can do more stuff than you can do with other tools. Almost you can do whole projects on one tool.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. My main obstacle to having a lot of tools is money and lack of shop space. But I'm going to see if Russ is with us. Russ, what got you into scrolling?
Actually, I don't remember.
That's back right after dirt was invented. He picked up this thing and started scrolling.
Well, I mean, you laugh, but I've been scrolling for around 30 years. I believe, if I think back, I know one of my first saw was a Craftsman, which it was sold at Sears here. If I look back, I think I was interested in making more detailed. I was making a lot of things back in the day. I made some bread boxes, one for my mother, one for me. I still have it to this day, and things like that. And I wanted to be able to do more detailed woodworking. And I looked into it. I'm thinking that this is my process, because I do remember some of this. And was walking in Sears one day, and they had their scroll saw on display, and bought it and started going been going ever since.
Boom! The rest is history. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and answer the question, because y'all haven't got to hear enough of me, huh? And I was looking. Somehow I ended up with a scroll saw pattern catalog in the mail. I had never even heard of a scroll saw, but I saw. First thing I saw was a picture of a tiger, and I said that would be cool, but I didn't know it was a scroll saw pattern catalog. I thought it was just a pattern catalog. But me being broke, I just used a photocopier, blew up the picture. I ended up cutting a 4-foot tiger head. Well, I say 4 foot and did this, but 4 feet tall. I don't know how many centimeters or meters or any of that stuff is, but I did that with what they call a jigsaw or a saber saw. But and after that, I saved up, got a scroll saw, and been addicted ever since. And on a rare serious note, June Bingham says that depression got her into scrolling, and it got her out of depression. And the reason why I call that a serious note is I've suffered from depression, and I think we all can agree, no matter what your ailment is, that scrolling can be therapeutic, and woodworking in general. So it's good that that helped you, June. And she said also, if you cut a portrait and a piece breaks, is it okay to glue it back, or should you throw it in the oops pile and start again? To me, it depends on the wood, because some wood will break like real cleanly, and you can just glue it back. But my morals sometimes won't let me try to sell it, because I'll feel dishonest unless I hit it real well. But I'll go down the line. Mr. Dominic Bender, would you sell a broken piece or throw it away?
If I found someone who'd pay money for it, why not?
I love how his answers are quite straight to the point. Hache, I did not stutter. I'm going to mention that each time I get it right. Will you fix a broken piece, or will you just throw it in the trash pile?
Well, if somebody think it's a piece of art, I will sell it, but otherwise I think I throw it on a pile.
Alrighty. She called it an oops pile. I believe in the U.S. we call it a designer firewood. Cut on.
Sometimes you can repair not only the gluing, but you can repair the mistake that it's not that is invisible. So if you can make it, or you can make it, maybe not with the portrait, but when you're doing other projects, sometimes when you cut too much or something, you can change the design. I'm changing the design almost in every project I'm doing because of the oops. I never throw it, away, because I don't have much time to do what I love. So I don't want to start again next week, and it's too much time.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think unless it's like the middle of a letter or somebody's ear, most times people can't tell something's broken. You can usually use your scroll saw blade and reshape it, like you were just saying. But if it's something important like an eyeball or an ear or the middle of a letter, yeah, you can't really hide that. Especially if it, like in my shop that has no dust collection, if it flies, it's gone. Because I'm not fishing through all that sawdust. But Mr. Russ, how about you? Do you just answer the question?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yes, I have sold broken piece before. If I can repair, I'm very particular about my woodworking. I'm not perfect by any means, but I want to produce something that is as near perfect as I can make it. So therefore, if something breaks and I can repair it to the point that it's invisible to me, then I don't have a problem with selling it. You spend 4 or 5 hours doing a project and something happened to it, and when we're talking about something, I've dropped them before. I mean, just old thumbs me just dropped it on the floor and broke a little piece off of it. So fortunately in my shop I have wooden floors, so a lot of things will bounce and survive. It's not concrete. Yeah, I've put them back together, and if I can make it where I can't see it, I don't think the customer can see it, and I've sold them, and I have never had a complaint.
Alrighty, now I'm laughing.
I'd like to expand on that. I'm not meaning to interrupt you, Charles,
No
but
problem.
with the glues that we have today, trust me, when you put something back together with some of the glue we have today, like I use Titebond wood glue, it's not going to break in that same place. It is going to hold. I have put things back together the size of a toothpick before and tested them, and they held very, very well. So it's not. When I sell it, I feel confident that the customer's not going to have any problems with it.
All right. The time a lot of people see my designs and they say, well, I bet there was a lot of hold your breath moments, but about the only time I break something is if I'm doing a spiral. If you start, this is a good tip also, by the way. If you're doing some kind of spiral design, like on the tail end of a letter, start on the inside of the spiral. If you start out from the outside and go in, it'll weaken it, and then it'll just pop right out if you have your finger right up there holding it. That's your finger. This is your finger. Okay, use that right there, and just start. Grow up, Charlie. No, start from the inside of the spiral, but still try to keep your fingers close to to slow down the vibration. Start from the inside of that spiral out, because if you start from the outside in, it'll weaken as it gets smaller, and it'll pop out. That's about the only time I've broken one. Except one other time. Most of the breakages I've ever had is while sanding, because I like to do them real big. I had like a 2 or 3 foot wide eagle, and it was very, very, what do you call it, intricate fretwork. And I was doing the last bit of sanding, and it fell out of my hand, broke into 3 or 4 pieces, and I couldn't find them all. So I cried for a good 3 hours, and I'm still in therapy. Thank you all for the comments and entertainment, says June Bingham. I'm glad we could help you, and I'll pay for your therapy if you need it. That goes for all of you. We are at 6:15, 15 minutes. That means we had a good show. Still got 3 viewers. That or they all passed out trying to watch us. Does anybody else have any more questions, comments, or suggestions, or
Still no questions on YouTube. I just checked. I had to move my laptop over here behind me. My heater is to my right over here, about 3 foot from me, and it produces a lot of radiant heat. And I went to do something on my laptop, and it's black, and felt the back of it, the one over here, and it was almost to the point of steaming, so I had to move over here out of the way. It's a little cool when I first come out here in my shop. I checked the temperature was like 50 degrees, so I had to fire the heater off.
I have a fan sitting here right next to me, just out of camera range, but in case anybody thinks they're drunk or on drugs, some of you might be, but I'm not. You may think I am, but for anybody that's watched the show before, you're not on drugs. I did paint the wall behind me a different color. So you might be thinking I'm in a different room. No, it's the same old room. I just painted the wall behind me. That's what I did today. Yeah, so that was just in case anybody noticed. So we don't have any more questions in the Q&A, so unless one pops up, I'm going to say thank you very much to Dominic Bender out of Germany, Hutchie Boom out of Holland, and Karol Kolanowski out of the UK. Did I get all those names and locations right?
Yes.
Boom. I mean,
Yep.
I didn't mean to say boom. That happens to be your last name, Hutchie. And Russ is out of Florida here in the U.S., and it's always warmer than it is here. But I appreciate all y'all joining, and thank you for all 4 viewers, June Bingham, Rob Rawson, Sue May, and whoever the other victim is. I appreciate you watching. And as I'm going to say every time that I end the show, scroll on.